Slavery has been part and parcel of American history, started off in the 17th and 18th century when a Dutch ship brought over 20 Africans ashore to the British colony of Jamestown, Virginia. The practice quickly spread and the slaves helped America grow into an economic powerhouse through their sweat, tears and blood in the tobacco and cotton fields. During the European Renaissance era, it is difficult to trace the presence of black Africans. Their settlements in many parts of Europe was denied for political and racial reasons, and the issue have been successfully concealed until the end of the 20th century. The failure to appreciate different culture and skin colors during the 15th and 16th century by the European has made the process of identifying and tracing black Africans burdensome. The process of removing Africans to Europe in the Renaissance period has robbed their identity as a whole and labeled them as black Africans. Arriving in Europe as slaves have forced them to erasure their past, starting from their names, languages, religions, families, and communities, as well as cultural practices. Besides that, most of them received no education and remained to be non-literate, even though Renaissance period was great on literacy at that moment. In the 17th and 18th centuries, African slaves were traded to the Caribbean, which was made into Roman American colonies and traded back to Africa for more slaves. The Atlantic slave essentially worked like a triangle between Africa, Europe, and America. The slaves were trying to shift across the Atlantic in order to provide labor.
Lean inside and get me a cup of water. And those white people beat me till I was unconscious. They thought I was dead.
In 1865, 4 million Americans were slaves simply because they were born black, were now free. But in little over a decade, the promise was gone, replaced by a rigid system of laws designed to keep blacks from experiencing any of their newly achieved rights. It saw the birth of colored bathrooms, segregated setting in almost every public infrastructure including buses, libraries, and cars, and also segregated housing areas, in which the effects of the segregation can still be seen today. After slavery ended, it seems like there is hope for the black community and white community finding coming into terms into a society where race and skin color will not be a problem anymore. But the truth is, it is just a beginning for the African American to earn their spot and accept in the community. Years of slavery made its mark on both communities, and there is still rough time ahead. For instance, the chokehold is used against the black community by police, though it was banned by the police department. Chokehold is a situation where someone's neck is tightly gripped, they restrain breathing. One of the popular cases is the Eric Garner case that happened in 2014. Eric Garner was a man with chronic illness and he was chokehold by a police officer in front of a store on the suspicion of selling used cigarettes. The police officer who choked Garner, Dan Parenteau, was brought to court. In the current 21st century, young black men face the highest rate of police killings. They are more likely to get stopped by police and also face more violence in their hands. Worse is that these cases also have a low conviction rate. They receive less wages compared to their white counterparts as well. They go out from their house having to face the suspicion from people around them. In regards to fiction, there are several books that play an immensely important part at the time. For example, the anti-slavery novel Uncle Tom's Cabin was written by Harriet Beecher Stowe, had paved the way for the Civil War and thus contributing to the freedom of the black slave. Despite the fact that slavery has ended for so many years ago, there is still a fine and distant line drawn between the whites and the blacks. The whites are still being haunted by the past, causing the blacks having to go through many burdens and oppressions in today's world. The African-American community are always in constant fight to be accepted, but the real question is, how far will this problem prolong?